At my inspection today, this particular house had 2 water heaters running in series. This is a good setup as long as the temperature of each and the direction of the flow is correct. When we inspect water heaters, one of the things we check is the TPR valve, or temperature pressure relief valve. It can be found on the top or side of the tank. Its job is to decrease the pressure by removing some of the water. This is achieved basically with a valve body and a spring. A set amount of pressure is placed on the spring to resist the water pressure. You see, as water heats up, it expands and puts a lot of pressure on the plumbing system. Failure to relieve some of the pressure can result in a leak, or in rare cases, overexpansion of the tank itself. There is a lever in place which will let you exercise the valve. I found in my experience exercising this valve vertically is not a good idea, as it can stick and relieve the tank of too much water. There have also been a few instances where by testing the valve incorrectly, it has stuck open and relieved the tank of too much water. Now, I'm not saying that I partially flooded a house by incorrectly testing a valve, but I'm saying that I partially flooded a house by incorrectly testing a valve. Spin them, don't pry. Either way, these are signs that the TPR valve is failing, and no matter how you found it, it's good that you did identify an issue. Spinning is a better way to test. The swivel exercise allows you to see if the valve body is moving freely without actually extending it. It's become part of my routine to physically place my hands on the inlet, outlet, and TPR valve just to check for temperature. Since there shouldn't be any water running through the TPR overflow pipe, temperature should be at a minimum, but the tank in the left is proving to be too hot. Normally, the overflow pipe would extend close enough to the floor where you could visually see if water were coming out of the pipe. But this house, it was plumbed directly to the main waistline under the house. Also, sound could be used to prove or disprove the theory of a failing valve. Sometimes you can hear the sound of water traveling through the line. On this one, just to keep myself in practice, I grabbed my thermal camera. The issue with this is that the copper water line is too reflective to get an active or accurate temperature. So a workaround is to grab the correct tape. In this case, I'll use electrical tape on the pipe to get a more correct emissivity reading. The emissivity is a material's effectiveness at emitting energy as thermal radiation. Emitting energy indicates temperature of the object. Notice the difference in temperature and how inaccurate the shiny surface is versus the area where the tape's been applied. Keep in mind, these are just apparent temperatures because the emissivity for the tape or object hasn't been calculated, but close enough. Also, some thermal cameras have the ability to enter the emissivity reading. The math becomes more important when you're a level 2 or a level 3 thermographer working at power plants or even on naval submarines. Now in this case, I could finalize my report just based on the temperature I felt with my hands, but to keep in good practice, I chose this route. Why is it good to stay in practice? There could be instances where you can't touch the surface you're trying to scan. It could be an industrial motor with a temperature too high for contact or a possible shock hazard. I was called to an elementary school one time to inspect a lack of heat. They had recently remodeled and the steam radiators were no longer producing heat. Turns out they had painted the radiators with a shiny silver spray, which changed the emissivity of the radiators. So as a home inspector, be sure to keep in practice whether you're a level 1 or a level 2 thermographer. Think outside the box and don't just use your thermal camera as a way to find leaks, but as a way to check emissivity. As a homeowner, remember, exercise the TPR valve and make sure that there's an overflow pipe that extends close enough to the floor so you don't partially flood the house. Want to know what else I saw today? Subscribe to our channel and we'll keep you in the loop.